Hello and welcome to the latest Capital and Kayfabe. I am your co-host, JP Jampas, with the Two-Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me is the political pundit, the author, the journalist, the wrestling historian, Mr. Jack Hunter. Jack, welcome in. How you doing?
Hey, good to be with you. Looking forward to today's conversation.
Man, right off the top here, I got to ask you this, and we're not going to go Charlie Kirk yet. I do have some questions still going on with Charlie Kirk, but what is the defense secretary, the war secretary, if you will, Pete Hegseth, what is he doing? He's ordering all the generals and admirals on September 30th to Quantico in Virginia. What is going on here?
I don't know, and from what I'm seeing on social, people who should know don't know. So
Right.
it's piqued my interest. When Tony Khan says he has a special announcement, sometimes we can kind of guess, like the women's tag team titles
Right.
happen. With this, I don't know. And if people, that are being told to come don't know whether that's true or not, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully something positive.
Here's some rumors that I read just real quick when I was looking at it. Government shutdown is a rumor. They're going to war somewhere. That's a rumor. They're going to be firing all the woke generals, quote unquote, that was out there, and then aliens. We're getting ready for an alien invasion. So there was 4 different rumors I heard within the span of 5 seconds.
Well, all those I would welcome except the going to war part. Shutting down the government, yeah, we can do that. We've done it plenty other times. Aliens, I don't know what to tell you about that. Getting rid of the woke element. I mean, administrations, when they come in, they hire their people and they get rid of people that don't fit. Like, that's not unusual. All administrations do that.
Very interesting. Bringing them all in. I guess, is this unprecedented? Has this happened before, or is this something that's very rare?
As far as calling a meeting in this manner, I don't know. That it's public, that people know about it. I guess it leaked or whatever. Of course it would. I don't know. You ask me these questions, I feel like an idiot because I don't have anything to say. I'm not going to make up anything. We don't know. I'm curious, like everybody else is. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has got a lot of positives about him. Donald Trump campaigned on, getting rid of endless wars and getting out of wars, not starting any new wars. And at this particular juncture, when I'm talking to you, what he's wanting to do in Ukraine now is an extension of what Biden was doing. What's going on in Israel is basically an extension of what Biden was doing, what Kamala Harris promised to do. And his Secretary of Defense has to take orders from the commander in chief. So there's that. But he's not impressing me too much. I'm talking about the president on foreign policy right now. We voted for him to do something different. He's doing the same and bragging about it. So let's see what happens Tuesday. Maybe that's a change in that. Hopefully, maybe not. I don't know.
Very weird, though. To me, anyway. There's like, wow, where the hell is this coming from? Everybody's got to come. 800 different generals and admirals need to be there in Quantico. Kind of could be a little dangerous, if you will. It just sounds crazy.
We'll watch with bated breath.
Could be like the old Saturday Night Live skit with Phil Hartman. This is something. This is nothing. This is something. This is nothing. You know what I mean? It could be something. Could be nothing.
Right.
Speaking of could be something, could be nothing, it looked like Kimmel was gone. Something that was happening here, and then he's back. And ABC basically, I think it was 48 hours or 72 hours, he was basically suspended. They were doing what they had to do. But the only thing is, he's not technically all the way back. ABC may have brought him back, but there's so many affiliates out there that are not carrying him. So what's the latest on Kimmel after the suspension? And, what happened? Did he not apologize? And he was supposed to apologize? Was he supposed to donate money? He didn't donate money? What happened?
I don't feel like he apologized when he came back in his Tuesday night. It would have been a week ago by the time you're watching this monologue. He did express sympathy for the death of another human being, which is baseline. He did that. He choked up a little bit. Thank you, Jimmy Kimmel, for being a shred of human being a little bit, which is part of what people were mad about the first time around. But he never said it was wrong for me to say the killer was MAGA. That's an apology, because that's what he said, and it's a lie, and it's the reason that Nexstar and Sinclair and these other affiliates aren't carrying Jimmy Kimmel, because what he said was offensive at a very emotional time. That's not BS. That's not like just, I'm a political right-winger and I don't like Jimmy Kimmel and blah. That's like people were invested in this man's tragic death and listening to his wife's words and what was going on, and Jimmy Kimmel just kind of stomped on it, and being, disrespectful or whatnot. He's back. ABC brought him back because all these Hollywood lefties were upset and they acted like this. Oh, he's a champion for free speech, even though Jimmy Kimmel celebrated everybody that's been right forever. Tucker Carlson, yep. Roseanne Barr, you could go down the line. These people don't believe in free speech. When the Biden administration was forcing Google to censor, as they admitted before Congress recently, all of them either A, didn't care, B, thought it was a good idea. Whether it was COVID, Hunter Biden's laptop, they thought it was awesome. Jimmy Kimmel's right there with them, talking about it on the show. So they're full of it. Jimmy Kimmel's no champion for free speech. And the worst thing that Trump did in any of this was the FCC getting involved and Brendan Carr getting involved, because now they can do exactly what I think I predicted last week they would do. Jimmy Kimmel was pushed off the air by the Trump administration. The market and people not wanting to hear his disrespectful comments about Charlie Kirk, that doesn't play into the left's equation now, but that's a bigger part of the equation. And by the way, if the FCC really did have that power, how come Jimmy Kimmel was back in 5 days? It's a BS narrative. It's wrestling. Jimmy Kimmel is putting out a wrestling narrative. This is what the Trump administration did to me. No, it's what the market did to you, but he's back. I don't think he'll be around forever just because that business model is tanking, late night talk.
Yeah.
It's not a thing anymore. It's the reason they're getting rid of Colbert. So we'll see how long this lasts, but boy, did the Trump administration help the left, help Jimmy Kimmel make it a victimhood thing, and that they're for free speech, and somehow the right is in this respect.
Got some very powerful front to the left and making sure that he came back. But the only thing is, too bad it didn't affect the affiliates. So a lot of stations all over the country no longer carry Kimmel. They were playing the news instead. So it's not like he's all the way back like the left is kind of portraying it. He's really not all the way back. He's kind of like halfway back.
Yeah, he's here for now, and a lot of people can't see him, and that's the market at work. That's not Nexstar or Sinclair or whoever else censoring him. Censor is when the government silences you. Private companies, private employers, the people you work with can make decisions about how much they want to amplify you or not amplify you. That's the market. That's actually free speech. That's democratic. Censorship means the government forces your hand, as the Biden administration did with Google. How do we know this? Google's lawyer told us this before a House committee. That's censorship, and everybody upset about Jimmy Kimmel does not give a damn about that at all.
And it's funny because this was like the best ratings he ever got, though, even though, a lot of the affiliates didn't carry it because there was so much controversy and backlash. But before that, his ratings were really, really bad. I mean, obviously Gutfeld was killing them.
Yeah, if we're talking about him, using wrestling angles, if this was all fake and like he's going to go say, like, I'm going to say something outrageous, Kirk, and hopefully, we can pretend I get kicked off or whatever, and then we'll have big ratings. Like, that would be even cooler. I'd actually respect that. I don't think that's what happened, but just saying. That's like going back to CM Punk and the Young Bucks in AEW. I was like, there is no way, even if this was real, and I did think it was real, that the Bucks are goofy enough not to capitalize on this as just smart guys in the wrestling business, and that the boss is not going to capitalize this as a booker. Bill Watts would have made a bunch of money off that. So would have Jim Crockett. So would have Vince McMahon. And that's not what happened. I'm like, oh my God, really? So that was the low point of my AEW fandom. I could not get over the people. I think Punk wanted to do something. Omega was cool with it. Hangman was cool with it. I think Tony Khan wanted to do something. I'm not in there. I don't know. But there are two other people it seemed like didn't. And yeah. So sorry to go in that direction, but
yeah. But that kind of proves the point though, a little bit too, because it's like, okay, wow, Kimmel's going to get a ratings bump here. Let's see what he does with it. Let's see if he apologizes. Let's see this. And then he doesn't do it. Like Young Bucks, they don't really do anything with Punk. And then they kind of tanked for a while. So he's probably going to go right, odds are going to go right back to status quo, and the ratings, and people are going to go back to not watching again, and he's going to get 125K viewers, whatever low amount that he was going to get.
Yeah,
Gutfeld was beaten by triple.
Yeah, they wanted to see that first night back because of the controversy, and then he's just going to go DNC comms chairman that he's always been, comms propagandist. Yep. What do Democrats think today? How can I hate on Republicans? Let's do that. I'll call it comedy. Here's a punchline included with that. That's what he does, and that's why his show is going away. Not because the country's right wing, but because the little bit of people left that want to watch a late night show just want to end their day and relax. Yeah, we still don't know what Johnny Carson's politics were. That was by design. So,
yeah, true, very true. So it was interesting that even Hillary Clinton had commented, about free speech and everything else, and then she was commenting on white Christians and stuff like, what is going on with Hillary, and which is so interesting too. It's just like she kind of disappeared, and people were like wondering what happened to her health wise, just for a few weeks, kind of like Trump esque. We're like, oh, where is she? Where is she doing? You haven't seen her, and then she popped back up.
Hillary's a scummy person, and I try to separate the personal from political, but like there's no other way to talk about her. She's just a bad person.
Yeah.
The people who work around her, who have worked for her in the past, will say this. Like, she's just not a very kind person. I do hear she's a funny person in private. That never comes across on TV, but they say she has quite the wit, but she's also just scummy. Hillary Clinton lecturing anybody on free speech is probably worse than Jimmy Kimmel lecturing anybody on free speech. Here's a woman who said that the government needs to come in and regulate speech to prevent misinformation and disinformation. What that's called is abandoning the First Amendment. And she said this clearly and openly. The reason she's saying white Christian men are some sort of problem is because she's a Democrat, and the religion of her party is identity politics. She's smart enough to know that. Who is the bad guy in the Democrats' identity politics equation? Well, if you're gay or trans, that automatically makes you a wonderful person, no matter your personal character, which is what they believe. A white Christian, that's automatically bad, no matter their character. She's playing into that absurdity. That's where her party is. That's why they got their ass kicked in 2024 and will continue to lose if they can't move forward. The best Democrat in the entire party right now is Congressman Ro Khanna. Because I'm not saying he never does any of that stuff, but he doesn't prioritize it. He criticizes it. He's done tweets where, like, can we talk about socioeconomics and the working class again and not just Trump hate fest 24/7, which is what his party basically is. But he's right. And I disagree with him on economics and the socialist stuff. But like, that's a classic Democrat, right? Economic collectivism, working class, talk about this stuff. But that's not what Democrats are now. It's identity politics, leadership, and neoconservative foreign policy on Ukraine. That's what Hillary was exhibiting. She was just playing into the identity politics stuff. It's stupid. It's not true.
Man, and people were kind of questioning where she was and what she was doing. She was at the limelight. Boom, she comes right back. And I know it's a lot of interesting people think of a lot of interesting things about Hillary and what she's up to and what she's been up to. It's just, if you ever go down that rabbit hole, it's like, oh my God, she's too much. It's almost overboard with that stuff.
She was with the other lizard people at the Bilderberg Mansion or whatever they're saying. I don't know.
and all that pizza stuff there, all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But the thing is, too, with her, does she have any political aspirations? Like, why does she kind of feel the need to pop up and do that? Like, I know obviously she's super political, and obviously, she did run for president, but does she have aspirations to get back in or something? What is she up to?
God, I hope not. She's the most unlikable presidential candidate in my lifetime. The dumbest one is Kamala Harris, but the most unlikable was Hillary. People that wanted to vote for her did vote for her, they didn't want Trump to win, didn't like her. Like, that was pretty clear.
Bottom line,
why Trump won was people just sitting at home being like, oh, Trump's going to lose. Hillary's got the bag, but I don't like her. I ain't showing up for her, and she lost. If she's got political aspirations, that sounds like bad strategy to me, not only on her age, but how the 2016 election turned out. The most political aspirations she should have is there's another Democratic president. She's appointed to something like she was under Barack Obama with becoming Secretary of State. The people I see in the Democratic Party kind of looking to the future, maybe presidential runner like Gavin Newsom and, AOC, who I think some conservatives underestimate. But yeah, Hillary needs to go away. Nobody likes you, Hillary. Just go away. I don't know what to say. I try to be charitable, but like, what do you do with that?
Man, just it's funny. Like, she just kind of pops up and causes a whole shitstorm. You know what I mean? Like, because just people are just like, "What are you talking? Like, where is she coming from? What is she up to?" Like, you know what I mean? It just seems very odd sometimes when she pops up.
She has go away heat. Like, she's not a regular heel. Like,
yes.
There's that bad guy. I want to see get his bucket. She has go away heat. Like, get off my TV. I'm going to turn the channel, kind of thing.
Yes. No doubt. Yes. And it's interesting. You mentioned this before about Google, YouTube, the Biden administration. What is the latest on that? Because it seems like they basically, with the Twitter files, we know what they did on X. We know what they did on Twitter. What's going on with Google and YouTube? Because it seemed like they were even censoring there, and they promised to not censor, but then they censored Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones immediately again. So what's going on?
Well, I don't know what's going on now in terms of lawsuits or anything like that. The trajectory of this is when Biden was still president, Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, Barry Weiss, and a few others released the Twitter files, which laid all this out. They went before Congress, and Democrats in Congress basically said, you're not real reporters. This is BS. And to the degree that might be true, it's awesome because Democrats should censor the right and things on COVID and blah, blah. That was their attitude. Well, now Trump's president, and there's a hearing, and Google officials are like, yeah, all that stuff that was said did happen. It happened to Twitter. Zuckerberg said it happened to Facebook. It's happened to Google/YouTube. It's the same company. And Democrats don't care. And if Republicans raise hell about it, I don't know if we can't agree on basic precepts of fairness and what's good, like if I'm like, John, grass is green, you're like, no, it's not. Where do you go from there? If I say we have a First Amendment and the government can't force private companies to censor Americans, and you're like, why not? That's where Democrats are. I don't know. I guess there could be a lawsuit or something. I don't know if there is. What do you do with that? You beat its ass in an election. Like, that's what you do. That's what happened. But like, what to say to that?
It's one of those things where we knew what was going on. We know what's going on. And then they finally admit it. And then what happens after that? Like, do they ever get in any sort of trouble? I mean, is there ever anything really done about it? It's like, they censored everything. And obviously for political reasons. Shouldn't they have get in trouble if something needs to happen?
Well, I mean, the whiff of good news is that the Google people, the lawyer and some others, recognize that it was wrong. If you go back and look at the Twitter files and some of the Slack dialogue that Taibbi shared or emails or whatever, there were employees at Twitter were like, hey, isn't this in violation of the First Amendment? Should we really be doing this? And they were kind of told to shut up by their higher-ups. But there were people who had understood it was wrong.
Right.
What do you do with people who don't think it's wrong? Back to my original point. I hate to beat a dead horse. I like that Google's like, we shouldn't have done this and we apologize and we're going to reinstate users that were, censored or banned. My former boss, Senator Rand Paul, was banned for saying masks aren't that effective, which we now
was
know.
He reinstated?
I'd have to go back and look. I was around when all that was going on, or in the mix a little bit. But he tweeted about it. But okay, you realize that, going back to the Jimmy Kimmel thing, realize that saying that a MAGA person killed Charlie Kirk on TV is bad and wrong. I don't know that he does. He just said he was sad somebody died. Do these people, I'm talking about Democrats broadly, your friend that voted for Kamala Harris because they hate Trump so much, realize that it's bad for Democratic administrations to force censorship? I don't know that in unison they would be, of course that's bad. That's what they would say. I think they'd be like, well, it's Trump. It's okay. That we're in a bad place. Basic civilizational premises here we're talking about. They're not in that place. They're willing. The left said that Trump would undermine democracy and wreck basic norms and standards. They're being wrecked right now, and it's not Trump that's doing it. It's the left by ignoring stuff that I'm talking about right now. This is basic stuff that any liberal in my entire lifetime and until the last 10 years would have agreed with me with.
But then they go right back and then they censored Nick Fuentes, who didn't even post a video yet. And Alex Jones posted one video and it says, I'm back or something like that. Like, it's the return or whatever generic thing he put out there. And then boom, he gone again. So it's weird. It's like they kind of say one thing and do another.
If those were taken down, I didn't know. You know a little bit more about it than I do, John. Alex Jones put up a video like, hey, I'm back. And
Yep.
Wow. Well, that means they don't mean it. Like, I'm not the biggest Alex Jones fan. I certainly don't like Nick Fuentes and the crap that comes out of his mouth, but like, it's speech. I don't have to like it. That's how it works. So
it's just one of those things where they kind of say one thing and do another, and then they just repeat themselves over and over. I mean, obviously Zuckerberg admitted it with Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google. It just keeps going on and on and on. It just doesn't have an end. There's got to be some sort of end game where they just can't just censor it because it's right wing or maybe centrist. They just have to have left wing progressive nut jobs and like those type of views. No, everybody, free speech. Everybody should be on there. Maybe Alex Jones, some of that stuff needs to be censored, but not everything.
I don't think he needs to be censored. I've got sort of the late 70s ACLU mindset, like the Nazis should march through Skokie, Illinois, not because I agree with Nazis, but that's how absolutist America is in its defense of free speech in the First Amendment. If I'm the owner of Twitter and I don't want Nazis on my platform, sure, it's a private company to do that, but I like the more speech, the better. You defeat bad speech with more speech that's good speech.
What is the latest as far as the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Is the case closed? I mean, what's going on here? It seems like they want to move on.
I think the suspect they have did it, but, we talked about this last week. There's so many. It's just like the Trump assassination. Like, there's so many things unanswered. It seems like the people in charge that are closest to it don't want to talk about it. Do I think the person, I'm not going to say his name, they have as a suspect did it and they've got good evidence that he did it? Yes. Do I think it's strange that Benjamin Netanyahu immediately said Charlie Kirk is my friend and supported Israel like right after it happened and multiple times? Yes. I don't know what to do with that. There's too many unanswered questions. I think that goes for people that like Charlie or didn't like Charlie. It's just a weird thing. How in the hell did that guy get so close with his grandfather's rifle and do that? There's security there, ostensibly. Like, what the hell is that? That's just one question. So, and people are going to continue to ask them, and rightfully so. And it doesn't make you conspiracy theorists to wonder about these things. It makes you rational and reasonable. Like, what the hell is this? And you taught me this about the father of the suspect getting the money, and then he gave all this money to Erika Kirk, who in turn gave it to charity or something. And like, that's all just weird.
Very
and the
strange.
money
Like,
came from Israel or some PAC or something.
Yeah, Ackman or whatever, who's like a part of the Israel PAC or whatever. Yeah, it's just weird. Like, why would there even be a reward money, and why would they be the ones giving the reward money? It's very shady. And what was George Zinn doing there, who was also there for 9/11? He was also there like randomly in other states and other places. Like, he'd show up where whoever was going up against John McCain, and he said McCain paid it to bust balls, and he'd show up wherever John Kerry was because Bush paid it. It's just like really, really weird stuff. The bullet. There's no way that bullet went through the neck. If that really was the bullet used, his head, like literally you have Army guys that literally go out there from 200 yards. They go and shoot that exact bullet and the thing explodes. Like, it just goes, and it's like, come on, that wasn't the bullet. That wasn't the gun. Like, he didn't unscrew. Like, there were so many people that kind of just ripped this thing apart. Was there a muzzle flash on the left? Was there a trap door? Was there somebody shooting from the right from his shirt? Like, holy crap. And like the old chaos theory, they just throw a million things out there to make you so confused. You're like, yeah, Tyler did it, and just end it. You know what I mean? Just so much stuff. It's crazy.
Well, and you start with the simplest things, and I'll repeat this. And if I'm being homophobic, oh, well, I don't know, young gay men who are just like expert snipers or marksmen. Like,
right. Yeah.
And there might be some, I don't know, but that's not where my mind goes. This guy and his history and what his priorities were and what important. That's weird to me on its face. So one shot, bang, done. Target hit from however far away he was with his grandfather's rifle that's so ineffective that nobody who's a gun proponent has ever thought to ban those or regulate those. Like, has he been considered? So, yeah. Whatever.
Plus, you'd have to unscrew it and then screw it back together. And then the guy jumping off the roof, there is no gun. So where was it? Then he went back and he waited in the woods to get it. Yet he was at Dairy Queen. Like, get it. It something like, and then he changed his clothes, but changed his clothes again. It's like, wait, how the hell? And then how far away did he live? And how far did he drive? It's just like nothing kind of makes sense. It's just nuts.
Look, once again, I think the suspect they have in question, we're going with that. But like, the American right, the evangelical right in particular, being on board with whatever Israel's current government does is something that has been molded for many decades by evangelical John Hagee, people like that going over there, and this dispensationalist belief that the Israelites of the Old Testament are somehow the 1948 established government of Israel today. Something when Netanyahu's asked about, he's like, oh yeah, it's exactly the same. And then there wasn't a new covenant in the sky Christ that Christians are supposed to at least give a little bit of priority to. The evangelical Republican voters that believe this stuff, that government can just do whatever it wants and that's somehow biblically ordained. That's something that if Israel, I'm talking about the government, loses that support in the U.S., it's a lot. It's a big deal to them. Charlie Kirk was starting to go in a direction where he was, as a Christian, was questioning some of that stuff in a big way as a loud voice. Tucker Carlson already is like, nah, that's BS. People like Candace Owens and Kirk, who's kind of in the middle, was going in that direction. Like, no, just like unqualified, no restraint support for Israel's government from the U.S. as they ethnically cleanse, to use Charlie Kirk's words, Gaza is probably not the right thing to do for America and certainly not the Christian thing to do. Him poking a hole in that is dangerous to Israel's government and continued U.S. support. Where that fits into the assassination, I don't know, but it is a true thing. And for the fourth time, I believe the suspect they have in custody was up to something. We'll see.
And he was questioning Epstein and Maxwell and the Mossad. I mean, he was questioning a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously somebody didn't like that. It just seems to be pointing in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, the visible people, Ben Shapiro didn't like it. Mark Levin, one of the leading neoconservative figures out there, didn't like it. It's been talked about behind the scenes that Charlie and Turning Point USA were using certain donors of a pro-Israeli bent. And it sounds like Charlie was not backing down to them. But apparently they didn't want Tucker Carlson in any more Turning Point USA events, and Charlie wouldn't do that. So yeah, money talks. I don't know. I don't want to be one of those people that speculate and just try to make up things to get clicks or whatever. But I stand by everything I've said so far on this podcast about the dynamics in play. And as with the Trump assassination, it seems like there's more that meets the eye.
If we believe everything at face value, as far as the text messages, the story, the kid and everything, he's like the perfect guy that you would think would do it. But then flip side, he's the perfect patsy too. So it's like very interesting.
It's and I've said this before, it's got if you watch The Sopranos and they commit a crime and say some black guys did it, it's got that feel to it. Like, who shot Charlie Kirk? It's this gay guy with a boyfriend. That's too cartoonishly perfect, in this environment.
Yep. So obviously the funeral happened as well, and Erika Kirk is now taking over Turning Point USA. She has even stated she's more conservative than he was. Does Turning Point USA go in a different direction? And what did you kind of think of just the whole funeral there?
I thought it was lovely. Mrs. Kirk's speech was the high point. Obviously, you had the president and the vice president and Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. and other people there. I would hope that in the spirit of what Charlie was doing, that Turning Point USA continues to go in that direction. He was a free speech absolutist when many Republicans were behind this legislation to sort of go around the Constitution and punish students who spoke out against what Israel was doing in Palestine. They would call it pro-Palestinian speech, or some might even call it pro-Hamas speech, which is a little unfair to a lot of them. Charlie was against that legislation. He's like, no, they can say whatever they want. I'm against this. So I hope Turning Point USA would continue that. Charlie Kirk was becoming increasingly one of the most important anti-war voices on the populist right. I hope they continue that just by asking questions that the old guard neocons ask, and would attack people like Charlie somehow being anti-Semitic by saying, wow, how many thousands of people are killed in Gaza? How much do we pay for it? Is this a good thing? Like a basic question like that, you're an anti-Semite. Charlie himself said, I criticize the American government all the time and nobody thinks I hate America. But if I criticize Israel's government, somehow I'm an anti-Semite. How does that work? He was poking holes in that. So I hope Turning Point USA continues to stand firm and be like he was on that. And I hope his wife is the figurehead for that. We'll see.
pretty funny. Some of like the weird conspiracy theory people that pop up. And like, oh, she's doing the devil horns, doing the weird thing. She was doing the Jimmy Snuka "I love you," like the sign language "I love
Right.
you" thing. So I was like, that was the weird. I was like, and like, I was watching these TikToks. This guy's like, "Oh, this is what this means," and blah blah. I'm like, literally. And then I saw a bunch of people write like, "Means I love you," sign language, like hello. Like, I don't know if the guy was just doing it for clicks or a bunch of them. I don't know if they're doing it for clicks. Like, what's going on here? Or if they just didn't know, or maybe they don't know what the heck is going on. But I just thought that was like interesting. I was like, wow, people are overreacting about the "I love you" hand signal.
It's the "I love you" hand signal. And so Gene Simmons and Ronnie James Dio both claim to have invented this, the devil horns.
Yep.
Ronnie James Dio, who was an Italian grandmother who would like, "Demon be gone." She was Catholic. "Demon be gone." That's the sign they put up. If I was watching an old Cheech and Chong movie recently or something with Cheech, it was Cheech. And I guess he was probably raised Catholic. I watched their last movie. I think he was. But who was it that came out there? Oh, it was Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Conjuring people. So they were on some talk show, and Cheech did this over his head, like making a joke, right? Like, "Oh, it's the ghost people. It's the, spirit people." But it's that symbol. So it was an old school religious thing.
Yeah.
And an "I love you" before it was, "Hey, metal," But like, that's... Ronnie James Dio claims that he came up with this for metal, but he got it from his Catholic grandmother, for whom it was a Christian thing. So, yeah, people are overreacting to Erika, whatever that is. And people just do it in general now. Like, you don't have to like metal. You just go somewhere, somebody says something you like, you're like, yeah. Like, that's just what people do.
And man, I don't know why. It's my own fault, I think, but I just love going down like rabbit holes of conspiracy theories. Not because I believe them. I just love when people like are so convinced of something and it just sounds so crazy. But I was like, let me see if they can talk me into it. And then I'm like, and then afterwards I'm like, no, nope, didn't go like flat earthers. I'm like, let's see what they're talking about. I'm like, nah, I'm still not into it. You know what I mean? Like trying to. So the Erika Kirk thing, I was looking at like, oh, she was a former Trump beauty pageant. So they're trying to say she's involved with Trump in some way. I'm like, I'm not buying it. So then it was something with her in Romania and her in like kids trafficking, like all this weird stuff. And I was just like, man, I was like, I gave them a chance. I was like, I'm not buying it. But they were even trying to put her in a bad light to say that she had something to do with it. I was like, holy crap. I was like, man, these people just come up with anything. But, even the "I love you" thing, like that was a devil horn. And like people, they're crazy.
Those people got too much time on their hands. And I say that as somebody, that COVID came from a Chinese lab was at one time a conspiracy theory. Now the CIA and FBI pretty much.
Right. Yep.
So I have an open mind, but I don't know. The conspiracy stuff to me is like pornography. Like, you can never get enough of it and doesn't really go anywhere or do anything. Like,
it just goes in circles.
Like addictive and like what are we doing here?
Yep.
Yeah. So whatever. I used to listen to Art Bell. There's ghosts and some of that kind of stuff. But it's fun, but whatever.
Some of them I like. They're like funny and like kind of harmless. Like the dinosaur theory. The dinosaurs never existed. They're fake for, I guess, some sort of monetary reason or whatever. So I was watching much. I thought it's funny. I'm like, really? I was like, I never even heard that before. Dinosaurs didn't exist. I was like, what?
Birds aren't real.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on here? We live in a simulation, like, it's the Matrix, like all that stuff. I love to hear what like people think or like where they come from. I wonder if they're doing drugs or something and they're like tripping or, maybe they're on acid. I don't know, but I love kind of getting their theories on it. I want to see where they're coming from.
I guess, yeah. I navigate.
Got to keep an open mind.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I've had people chase me around at Ron Paul conferences. We had a Ron Paul event at the hotel in, I guess that was in Reston, Virginia, where like the Bilderberg people also had an event years prior. So somebody got it in their head that we were working in conjunction, we being the team Ron Paul, with the Bilderberg, whatever. And I had a guy chasing me around the hotel trying to get the truth about Ron Paul. And I just told him to get out of my face. Like, this is stupid. I kept telling him he was stupid. And I stand by that. Years later, that guy like was on to something else. He's like, hey man, I'm sorry I did that. That's just where I was at the time. I go, yes, I know. Like, yeah. Now you're doing something.
Yeah, you're gonna let it slide and stay away from me, buddy. Yeah.
Stupid. Yes, Ron Paul is with the establishment and is this is who all the people in power really want, out there doing. Get out of my face.
We got to change gears here. We talked a lot of politics today, but let's change gears. Let's talk about some wrestling. Did you see WWE WrestlePalooza and did you see AEW All Out?
I did, and I enjoyed both. I know a lot of people are saying WrestlePalooza wasn't all that good. I think I liked it better than a lot of the critics. All Out was the clear winner. That's what we're doing if we're comparing the two. But nobody does pay-per-view like AEW. It's different than how WWE does it, and WWE puts on great PLEs. But there's just no comparison to what AEW gives us for our $50, $40 this time if you're a Max subscriber.
I didn't see the AEW pay-per-view. I was just following around with the results, and obviously, if you follow online, you get highlights and clips. So I was following along there. I did watch WrestlePalooza, and I was reading today. ESPN was happy with it, but whoever wrote for their website gave it a C, and they weren't happy. So now I heard whoever wrote that, I don't know if they're fired or whatever, but they're in hot water because ESPN's like, that goes against like what we want to do. We want to promote. WWE, like, not even if like they're not being truthful, they don't want them going, oh, it was a C, it was an average show. So ESPN was upset, and apparently the big wigs at ESPN love WWE, and they're all about WWE. But whoever wrote that column, they're not happy with that. They're in hot water. Whoever wrote that.
Whatever the press conference was they did prior to WrestlePalooza, the ESPN person was asked, like, is your department still going to be independent? With this WWE, association? They're like, absolutely. And I'm like, yeah, right. Well, then I saw that review of a C, which I thought was a little harsh. I would have given it at least a B.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like, whoa, they really are independent. How the hell does this person that works for ESPN get away with this? But now you're telling me they're in hot water, which I would expect. Yeah. They're trying to promote this new relationship and make money. I get it. I'm not even mad at ESPN for being mad at that. That's what I would expect, but good, I guess, for the reporter for giving their honest analysis. The best part of WrestlePalooza to me was the Stephanie Vakir winning the women's championship from Io Sky. That was a good match. It's the right moment for Vakir. Io Sky's, I think, had one of the best years of her career, is really coming to her own. This doesn't hurt her stature at all. Helps Stephanie. I'm trying to think of what else on that show. I thought it was a decent show, not their best ever or anything, but a decent show. All Out, Hangman Adam Page, and Kyle Fletcher was killer. That was a killer match. It was what it needed to be. Kyle came out a bigger star than he even was before, which is what needs to be happening at his age. I know I'm just picking out two matches on each show, and you only saw one, John. What were your thoughts on the WWE show?
I thought, and a lot of people online said the same thing when that person came out with the C. Everyone was like, well, I thought it was a little bit better than that. You know what I mean? Like, they thought that was a bit harsh with the C. I would definitely give it a strong B. I thought it was a good show. I liked it for the most part. If you're thinking like, okay, Lesnar, Cena, oh, wasn't that great? I loved it just because Lesnar squashed him, and it's like, oh, where do they go from here? So it's a good storyline developed. Maybe a rematch down the line between those two. Who knows? I'm reading maybe not, but that would be interesting to do the rematch and see if Cena can kind of recover and get his win back, quote unquote, before he retires. I like the Usos match. Vakir is great. I love her. Her and Io Sky did well. I like the Punk match, and I like Cody versus Drew in the main event. No issues whatsoever. I thought it was a good show.
I thought it was a good show too. I liked Cena and Lesnar. Look at Brock Lesnar. He's going to beat the crap out of Cena for a couple minutes. Guess what happened? Exactly that. That's what I would expect to happen. That's okay.
And he had all those kids crying.
Right. I mean, come on. Like, if Cena just beat everybody, no matter who they are, like, that's not as fun as, no, he can be beat, and this is the kind of guy that can beat him. And here you go. So I have no doubt that, like, Cena was like, yeah, I'm getting beat tonight. That's what's going on. Like, he was totally fine with it.
Funny, I read online, I don't know if this is true because who knows. They're saying that Triple H was like, oh, Cena, you should win. Cena came back to him and said, why would I win? That doesn't even make sense.
Right.
So I wonder if that really is true. If it's true, Cena has great psychology because it does make sense. Lesnar return, literally, he's like 345 pounds. He looked huge. And of course he's going to destroy him. He's a monster.
Right. Yeah, I made all the sense in the world. The kids got upset. That's part of your childhood Cena fandom. That's how it goes. How many kids cried when Hulk Hogan was in a bad spot? That's just what happens.
And people were complaining, oh, he beat Drew clean, meaning Cody beat Drew clean. Not really, because why did the ref get involved? And this is Drew's out, if you will. This is what Drew could say. Why did the ref get involved, not let him kick? And then when he went for the kick and broke his ankle, the ref didn't get involved after. So it was almost like the ref kind of inadvertently screwed Drew there a little bit, and then Cody was able to get the win. I liked it. Those two always have good matches and good chemistry. So I like that match a lot.
I did too, and Cody needed to win.
Yep.
And Drew, with that little thing at the end, it comes out looking better. Yeah, I think it's smart booking.
Yeah, I think people missed that. It's like, well, he literally almost broke his ankle because he kicked through the table because the ref stopped him for inexplicably, which cost him like 2 seconds, which means Cody can move out of the way. And then obviously, I do think Cody needs to win. He's the face of the company. He's the big baby face, and I know they're doing him versus Seth Rollins next, and for the crown jewel thing, but it's just one of those things. Like, he had to win. You can't just take the title off of him already. Like, what in the world? Like, what were we doing there?
And sometimes, like, we saw on NXT recently, it was Obafemi, the NXT champion, against Trick Williams, the TNA champion. Neither of them men should have lost that belt in that NXT main event, and they did not, because the TNA guys invaded. It was what it was. You book towards what makes sense. Cody needed to win that match. Obafemi and Trick Williams did not. Neither of those guys need to lose those belts and give it to the other guy. That would have been stupid business.
My only thing with AEW that I didn't like, as far as, because I just watched Dynamite, which is funny, my DVR did not record, so thank God I have HBO Max, because I was just able to watch it. Weird, right? Very weird.
I have Sling, and the DVR records every week. This week it didn't. Thank God I have Max. That's what we did.
Yep.
Weird.
I got to check my Sling. I was curious. I'm like, whoa, because I waited purposely till like 10:10, and I was going to watch it so I can fast forward through the commercials. And I was just like, wait a second here. I go, it didn't record. What the hell? So I went right to HBO Max. It was available instantly, and I watched it. So two things I didn't like. So Page is the champ. He does an open challenge. He's fighting Lee Moriarty. I'm like, I wanted to see something hot, like build something up for Page, and then like that. Like, didn't really care for that. And then Kyle Fletcher, I know it's like a star making performance. He kind of almost won the world title. He's just there. He's a smidge. And then he goes, oh, I want to fight Hologram. I want to take away his undefeated streak. I was like, wait, what? So they both were like coming up so high, and then immediately put in the middle. I just didn't like that. I was like, man, what weird booking choices.
I agree with you with the hologram thing. I like hologram, but like Kyle Fletcher's trying to be in a different place than where hologram's used.
Right. And I love hologram. Yeah, I actually used to like him as Aramis when he was in MLW. He was really good. Yeah.
And the point of the Hangman match with Kyle Fletcher is the world champ's going to have a match with this young up and comer who's a badass in the ring, and everybody can see it, that he's like the next Will Ospreay kind of guy. And they did. And coming off of that is your move is to challenge hologram.
So weird.
I know booking can be difficult, but that doesn't seem like the right trajectory.
I guess Paige with coming out and helping the ops, hopefully that's a direction, like maybe Claudio, because Claudio won, or maybe Pac, or I don't know, something in a different direction. I was like, Lee Moriarty, what are they doing here? I was like, what in the world?
Because he's from Pittsburgh. I mean, that was the whole thing. And is Britt Baker ever coming back? They've been in Pittsburgh a couple times. I'm like, tonight's the night. That's what they're waiting on. That shit never happens. Like, I don't know. She's still under contract there for a little bit, right?
Yep. I was literally just reading. She's like in limbo, whatever the hell that means. So it's like, are they going to use her or not use her? What the hell's going on?
I just can't. She was one of their top stars and still is. If she comes back, it'll be a big deal. I don't get it.
It's not like she's in hiding. I saw her like posting stuff on Instagram, doing like DraftKings commercials on her Instagram and stuff. Right. So it's not like she's not out there. She's out there.
Hasn't she been at FanFest and like backstage at other shows, including AEW shows sometimes? So I don't get it.
Not sure what's going on there. Weird. One of your homegrown stars too. You might want to use them. You put so much equity in. You got to start feeding off that.
Well, Statlander's the women's champion. She beat Toni. Toni Storm does not need that belt. She's nothing's going to harm her. It's the timeless Toni is what people are getting into. I like the Statlander's getting a shot. She's not the best promo, but she's great in the ring, and she's over. People like her. They're into her. That's the most important thing. What do you do with Statlander as champion now? Where are they going? Is she joining the Death Riders? A face Britt Baker would be a great feud, and bringing that in. I don't know. Is she going to fight Mercedes? The top women stars are Tony, Mercedes. They're trying to do something with Statlander now. Who am I leaving out? And Britt Baker, who's not there. Is there another top women star I'm leaving out? Athena, you could throw into that conversation. Who's still
she's not a top star, but Mina Shirakawa, I love her. But I know she's not a top star and she lost. But
I don't think she's in the conversation the other women I just mentioned. But I like her too. Mariah May was that before she left, and now she's doing something in NXT, but she was certainly in that mix. Her and Tony helped each other. So, yeah, never mind. I'm a Britt Baker fan and would like to see her. Don't understand.
Now they have AEW Women's Tag Team titles, too, that are going to be out there. So more stuff for the women's division. Would you give them their own show, or would you just keep it going? Because it seems like they're almost like having so much women's stuff. Are they going to be branching off at all, you think, or no?
You mean an extra AEW show?
Yeah, like just for the women.
I wouldn't do that. I would keep Dynamite and Collision and make them the best they can be. I think that'd be spreading too thin. Am I wrong to think that way?
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah, because they have a lot of women now, like a ton sign. But yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't branch them off, and a lot of women's titles too.
Yeah, I'd like to see Ring of Honor on regular TV, but that's basically what they're doing right now. And not a lot of people are watching the Ring of Honor show. You have to be a subscriber, and I watch it sometimes, especially when they have their pay-per-views. I make sure to watch those. But good God, there's so much wrestling to watch all around. But if that was on I've seen rumors online of people like, are WWE going to help TNA be on the CW, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I would like that as a fan. Everywhere I've lived has access, so I've been able to watch TNA. But I do understand that access is not available in a lot of areas, and a lot of people just can't watch TNA unless they order TNA Plus. So as far as additional shows for AEW, I wouldn't add any, but maybe put ROH on regular TV if you could swing that deal.
Man, there's so many shows out there. It's crazy. And if TNA goes to CW, there's another show on, big time TV for wrestling. So yeah, it's like almost too much, which is crazy to think, but it might be too much.
Well, I think I told you last week, I've got the VPN now, the NordVPN.
Yes.
And internationally, you can watch NXT on that as well instead of the CW. Because the CW, I can't record it. Like, you watch it in real time, or it's on the app the next day. Well, guess what? The next day is Wednesday, and I'm thinking about other things and doing other stuff. But with the NordVPN, I could start it from the beginning in the middle of the show. My girlfriend works in food and beverage, and sometimes she's not home right at 8 o'clock. She wants to watch it too, and that's what we do, and it's great. That's what we did this week.
And I know somebody that has the NordVPN. They watch AAA, their weekly television, which is available on HBO Max in Mexico. So they actually watch AAA too.
I didn't think about that.
Yep.
Well, I know what I'm doing when this is over later this evening. Checking that out. When does that come on? I don't expect you to know.
I honestly, I'm not even sure with that, but I just know that they're not even on YouTube because it's like geo-tracked. I can't watch them on YouTube, like weekly AAA. So it's interesting. It's on HBO Max Mexico weekly.
So I wonder if I should move from Canada to Mexico and I still get all the WWE stuff and the AAA stuff. I'm gonna check that out.
You might have to move, quote unquote. You might have to move.
That's right.
I just lastly want to throw this out because it was the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life, as far as like them putting this on a wrestling fan, but like kind of putting it on a company. Did you see that quote unquote AEW fan that was a murderer and a kidnapper, and he had people locked up in his house? Did you see this, Donnie Birchfeld?
I saw something about that. That was an AEW fan.
That's
people in his basement or something like that.
Yes, and one of them died. Yeah.
Just like slaves, like sex slaves? Was it women or?
3 women, 1 man, and they said the man and the 1 woman were vulnerable. So I'm guessing maybe they weren't of like sound mind or sound body. Maybe they were.
Okay. What a weirdo! How does it come out that he's an AEW fan? What's that got to do with keeping people in your?
That's why I couldn't believe. And the headline said AEW fan is a murderer, kidnapper. I'm like, what? Because he has a bunch of shirts and pictures. He's wearing AEW stuff, and he apparently went to a bunch of AEW shows, and they have pictures of him with Tony Khan, Luchasaurus. So like, he was a huge fan. And think about it, he's at these shows, and he has people kidnapped in his basement. It's like, holy crap! It's like the worst.
I guess you report it that way. I mean, obviously, this is not AEW's fault in any way that this psycho likes their product. Right. Like, if he was like into Iron Maiden or the Real Housewives of wherever, if he was really into that band or that show, would that be the focus? Like, oh, this guy that likes Real Housewives got people in his basement. Like, I don't know. That's kind of weird.
it's almost like trying to portray wrestling fans and like, this is the way wrestling fans are. It's like, no, it's just some psychopath.
That's how it comes across to me. Yeah, that as a wrestling fan, I don't like that.
Yeah, not a good story. Really, really creepy, like really creepy story. Like, holy crap. Almost like something you'd see in a movie that no way that can be real. Well, it's real, and this guy did it. Crazy.
It's unconscionable. How do human beings do that to each other? I don't even know what to say.
Absolutely nutty. But let's wrap it up here. Let's head towards the plugs. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. How about you, Jack?
You can find me at X, formerly Twitter, at JackHunter74. Well, anything wrestling or politics, you can find what I'm talking about, running my mouth about there.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. See you right back here next week for a little Capital and